Hey guys, Zolan here, back again with another edition of Throwback Thursdays, and what I have for you today is the Kenner Gargoyles Battle Armor Goliath. Nothing to do with Masters of the Universe there, right? But jokes aside, it's been a pretty Gargoyles heavy week here at Overlord Productions with all my NECA Gargoyles reviews, and now good old Throwback Thursdays. We're looking at Battle Armor Goliath here. So with that being said, before we get into the meat and taters of this review, since I no longer have the packaging for this figure, we'll just move right along to his accessories, starting off with these two, count them, two missiles. One of them looks a little bit like a spike ball with an axe blade on it. It's a Mythic Legion's weapon if I ever saw one. And this more stabby weapon, almost arrow shaped. And what you can do is you can load up his gauntlets with these. Starting off with this one. I like to put this one on this side, just a preference of mine. And then this one, it has a trigger on it, but I don't know if the spring came out when I tried to fire it one day, or if there was never one in there in the first place. If it was like a push fire missile. But it doesn't really work, so you know, going to squeeze this here. You can see it didn't do anything. So yeah, we're just gonna take that out, and it could be easier said than done. But then on this side, we can actually take this whole armor piece off. And he's got a very Shredder claw thing going on there, so that's kind of cool. Shredder from Ninja Turtles, of course. But you can, of course, take this out. But we'll leave that in for the time being. That's armor that goes all the way up to his shoulder, just about. And then last but certainly not least, he has this chest armor piece with some shoulder pads on it. It's got a couple little spikes there. And very Thalog-esque. Not sure why this is not a Thalog figure. But that would have been cool, since we never got him in this line. I would like to see somebody custom paint some of these Goliath variants into Thalog. I think they look really cool. But taking a closer look at the figure itself, stripped down of his accoutrements, this thing doesn't come off. It's attached to his arm, which I think might have something to do with why the missile firing thing doesn't work so well. That, and it's just an old toy. But he is not happy to be here. Look at that face. That's an angry looking Goliath face. Look at that. Cool nonetheless, though. I really dig this figure. Of the non-show accurate variants for this character, good old Goliath here, this is one of the better ones. It's at least interesting, and if you're not going to go show accurate, at least be interesting, and this thing is freaking interesting. It looks like a Todd McFarlane version of Goliath with all these extra straps and things, and the armor plates, and this big old claw blaster thing on his arm, armor on the tops of his wings, which look at how freaking cool that looks, just spread out like that. The asymmetrical articulation, because he's got a bicep cut over here, but not over here. And then he's got the spike armband like Spawn. So, you know, very Todd McFarlane-esque. I mean, at the time, that was kind of the popular thing, so it makes perfect sense. But as far as articulation on this guy goes, his head will rotate. His arms will go up and down. As I said before, he has a bicep swivel on this side. And then his legs will move up and down. It almost looks like he's got bullet belts on his waist and up here, which is kind of interesting because Goliath is not a fan of guns, for obvious reasons. That is a Season 1, Episode 8 reference. I believe it was Episode 8. The one where Broadway shot point blank at Elisa by accident. That one. But at any rate, he's got a little bit of a ball joint in the tail. And it's kind of warped from packaging, so you might need to heat that and put it down, but it's fine. He stands. And then his wings have just a simple hinge joint, which I think NECA could take some notes here, because, yeah, they can't rotate, but the aesthetic is so much better when the wing's not just going on the ground. But this isn't a Necodemona rant/review. This is a Battle Armor Goliath from Kenner review, and he doesn't have the floppy wing-itis. I mean, it's not the tightest thing ever, but it's good enough. And I like the kind of hook armor pieces up here with these extra plates on the tops of his wings. That's really cool. I gotta tell you, get a lot of range out of the head. Kind of messing with it here. More so than most of the Goliaths in this line. I want to say Quick Strike might have had that kind of range, but don't quote me on that. He does have peg holes at the bottom of the feet, but you really don't need him. He could stand just fine. But getting his accoutrements back on here, he does have a few, as I said before, so it'll take a minute. Bear with me. Snap that one on. And then this one can be tricky to actually get to sit in there just right. There we go. You gotta have it going in at a certain angle for it to fit. That's what she said. And then the chest plate just kind of sits on his torso. It doesn't really snap on like the stone armor Goliath bits and whatnot, but it's whatever. It stays on. I can turn him like this and it not fall off, so that's better than some vintage figures I have. But before we move on here, just a quick shout out to old friend of mine from high school for hooking me up with this figure for Christmas one year. It was really cool of him. But with that being said, let's now move on and take a look at some size comparisons. First up, here's our Battle Armor Goliath next to a more traditional looking Goliath from the Kenner Gargoyles line, Stone Armor Goliath. And last but certainly not least, we have our two regulars, the Mythic Legion's Brother Mandibulus, 11th spawn, as usual, towers over everyone. So with that being said, time to wrap things up with some final thoughts. Overall, and even though this is not the most show-accurate version of Goliath from the Kenner Gargoyles line, if you're looking for something a little bit more interesting, maybe a bit more Todd McFarlane-esque, then this is definitely one you should check out. And in my opinion, he is one of the better Goliath variants in this line. Albeit, again, not show accurate, it's at least interesting. And if you're not going to be accurate to the source material, at least be interesting. And this figure, I assure you, is friggin' interesting. So I would highly recommend it to anyone looking to pick up something a little bit different from the Kenner Gargoyles line. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this week's edition of Throwback Thursdays, and if you are so inclined, please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you know whenever I upload more reviews like this one. And if you haven't already, please hit me up on Instagram at Overlord Productions. But as always, keep the comments civil, because the world sucks enough as it is. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later.